Hey, shalom, shalom. Hayawam tawab la atham, which is good day unto you all. Anak nawaha a bar sha'ale with the Hebrew Israelites coming to you week in and week out through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, to preach to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, Haitians, and Israelite foreigners. Nacham atham kaya hamalak hashamayim kwara. Repent, ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. First and foremost, before we get started, I'm going to say, call Halayim La, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Chak. Hey, double honesty, that was an apostle of great millstone that told us the truth and rule well. Much respect to you brothers out there pushing this truth with all righteousness and sincere. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
So, pretty much like we was going into before we got onto the camera, we pretty much going into, making the day count. Winning the small battles, winning the day. And essentially what that is going to entail of is, planning. Making those small adjustments in order to win the day. You see, because the scriptures say that the victory is already written. So if we could start with Proverbs chapter 24 and verse 27, Baba Kushah.
God, this Proverbs 24 and 27. It reads, "Prepare thy work without, and make it fit for thyself in the field, and afterwards build thine house."
Which it says, prepare thy work without, which that word prepare is going to go into to be firm. It's a Kawan H 3559, and it says, be stable, be established, be set up. It says to be stable. It says be directed or right, which that goes into a planning phase and also an intentional phase. Being intentional. And it says to prepare, be ready. It says to set up, to direct, toward, in a moral sense, to arrange, to order. So essentially, again, it's going to go into a planning phase, and then also it's going into essentially looking at what we have on the forefront and prioritizing our time for the Lord. But then it says, and make it fit for thyself in the field, and afterwards build thine house. So essentially, that planning phase is essential. I got a quick one real fast. This is Mashal Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 14. And it says, where no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. You see, so we should always, seek wise counsel, first and foremost, from the Lord, you see, and we have the body as well, but this word for counsel, it says direction, counsel, guidance, good advice. It says direction. It says counsel. All right, then it says a plan. We should always have a plan. And it says as a management of ropes. So it shouldn't just be to where, like Jake, when we was in the world, we might have had some type of, like a job or something like that. But other than that, Jake was just doing whatever. They had that saying, YOLO, you only live one life. So Jake was just tapping into whatever, living a life of no accountability and just, just doing whatever. No type of plan, no direction.
Now, if I read this for you real quick, commentary reads, the idea is that before a house is built, proper preparation must be made. The field and the ground must be ready. Wisdom tells us that work should be done with proper planning and in the proper order.
What's that? What's the saying that you mentioned, Atazwan?
The 7 P's.
Con.
Proper preparation promotes proper performance plus prayer.
Right. I got Proverbs 16 and 1. It says the preparations of the heart and man and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. So the preparations are the plans ultimately are that's going to be of the Lord. You see, because the scriptures say, how can a man, roughly paraphrase, how can a man know his own way? You see, so we have to pray to the Lord. That essentially our plans are aligning with His will. You see, that He blesses our plan. Pretty much going into the 7 P's that the brother Atazwan mentioned. But from there, I wanted to get Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 18. Could a brother get Proverbs 4 and 18? But this is Mashal Proverbs 29 and verse 18. It says, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. You see, so having that vision, all right, prioritizing the Lord, which the vision ultimately goes into being able to have that eye salve, all right, being blessed, to have the spirit to be able to see through these tough times, but having that vision is going to correspond with having that, that plan. You know, a lot of times, even in the world, they say, hey, you got to have the vision, you got to see it. You know, the elders and apostles talk about being visionaries. You know, this truth gives us a vision in which, in order to stay on top of, building our house, you see, we have to ensure that we're again prioritizing the Lord and doing the things that we need, for our house. You see, and the spiritual house. But I want to get that word for vision, and it says chazawan, and it's H2377, and it says vision, or it's chazwan, and it says vision, vision, oracle, prophecy, divine communication. It says a sight mentally, so this truth gives us a sight mentally, you see, and ultimately the things that we have to work on, essentially we can put it like, how we do the planners, the scheduling, the journaling. All of these things are for our benefit, so that we're prioritizing and making the best of our time management, you see, because when you look at all the in the ancient kingdoms, they had secretaries, they had a whole slew of, like, a lineup or whatever, that helped them with their day, you see. But they was kings, and like you going to Quanawaf, we in we say prince training, or like kingship training, because essentially being grown to be kings, so we have to ensure that we are on point, and essentially we are prioritizing, because if you have like a schedule, it's very imperative that we keep a schedule, because in a schedule, each block of time, you're putting your mind in that specific space for that specific time, and it helps us to do better with our time management, as kings. Could a brother get Matthew chapter 6 and verse 33?
You wanted Proverbs 4, right?
Kanye, we get that.
This is Proverbs 4 and 18. It says, "But the path of the just is as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day."
It says, but the path of the just is as the shining light that shines more and more unto the perfect day, you see. So that vision, that light, all right, the path of the just, or the path of the elect, is getting brighter every day. And that's because the elect is growing. You see, which the scriptures also say, and the fear of the Lord is strong confidence. You see, so that strong confidence is going to coincide with the fear of the Lord. And that's because the elect is fearing the Lord. And the Lord is in turn blessing them with more spiritual sight and more of a prioritization in these times that we are currently, that those different tasks. So winning those small battles is being more imperative. You see, and the Lord is allowing, the elect to be able to prioritize them,
Con.
I'm gonna get this real fast, and then whatever bros had. This is Tahoyim Psalms chapter 119 and verse 9. It says Bayat. That's the spirit. So it says Bayat. It says, wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word, which Bayat means house. And when we talk about a house in the it has a wide use of applications. A house can be a temple, it can be an actual house, it can be a tent, it can be a body of people, it can be yourself, Bayath, and in the terms of this right here, says, wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? How ultimately are you going to renew that house, yourself? It says, by taking heed thereto according to thy word, you see. So what is the word? The word is that water, Yahweh Shai, he's that water, Mayam. That's ultimately what cleanses us. That's what gives us that true, baptism, pretty much by subscribing to this truth, by taking heed. That's what take heed means, to listen, to essentially subscribe to this truth. Essentially, that's how we cleanse our way. That's how we build our house of right, because it mentions in I believe it's in Second Esdras, the 14th chapter. It talks about I'm gonna get it real fast. Bros, know what scripture it is?
I got you.
Okay.
This is Shalak. Second Ezra 14. Second Ezra 14 and verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
Now therefore set thine house in order, and reprove thy people. Comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption.
Right, and pretty much the scriptures is reiterating itself. you know, because the blueprint, the blueprint, the scriptures is the same. It says the same thing. It says, now therefore set thine house in order. We just got Proverbs 24 and 27. It said, prepare thy work, you know, so it shows that we had to have a planning phase. It says, now therefore set, you know, because that word for prepare thy work without was kawan, which meant to be established, to be firm, you know, to pretty much set up, you know, have a plan. So it says, therefore set thine house in order, which our plan goes back to the scriptures. You see, and what's going to coincide in the scriptures for our specific house for ourselves, you know, you know, again, we got to pray to the Lord that plan is essentially in His will, you know, so that we can build our house up. So it says, now therefore set down thine house in order and reprove thy people. The scriptures say, which our people, you know, that goes into the you know, the elect is going to be the ones that repent, you know, but our people going to you know, the Israelites, you know, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. You see, but we understand that the elect is the only ones that's going to be built up. And essentially, they're being built up by this word. The scriptures say, cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, you know, and shew my people their transgressions, roughly paraphrasing. You know, so again, thy people are essentially represents the Israelites, you see, but chiefly the elect on this side. You know, those are going to be the ones that are built up. And it says, comfort such of them as be in trouble and now renounce corruption. All right, because to comfort, the scriptures is what comforts us. And then it says, and now renounce corruption. You see, ultimately subscribing to this truth will allow us to renounce corruption. The scriptures say, it says, you know, those that's in the correct spirit, you know, roughly paraphrasing, they will abhor abominations, you know.
Okay. I got a quick one for you. This is Luke 19 and 13. It reads, and he called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds and said unto them, occupy till I come. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like you've been making mention of, you know, maintaining that house, right? It's more than yourself, right? It's more than the ministry, right? These are all these things, you know, the house comes together, man, right? You can't do one without the other, you know. So as we're not occupying, being those stewards, right? We're taking care of the church, we're taking care of a house, we're taking care of the temple, you know. So this is a day in, day out thing, and these are little responsibilities that you have to make sure you're, you know, staying on top of, man.
Mm-hmm. Because the key word was occupy. When you look at Jake, you know, in the corporate world, in the corporate sense, you know, they got occupations, you know, they got trades, they got jobs, you see, but with that specific job, you know, they give you a rule book, a manual, and our rule book and manual is the scriptures, you see, and Jake, you know, take the job serious, you see, but how much more so for the Heavenly Father, you know, because the scriptures say, could a brother get it? It talks about they do it for the incorruptible, but we are incorruptible.
First Corinthians.
Because it's all about, you know, again, winning those small battles. And how else, you know what I'm saying, do you build, how else are you able to build a house? You know, like we was talking about before we had cut the camera on, you know, like if you was to make like a patio, you know, you don't just, you know, you don't think, boom, a patio. Nah, like you know what I'm saying, you get the outline, you know, you outline it, you get the pavement or the cement, and then you lay it down, you know, you do it one thing at a time. You know, you can't, you know, they had the saying, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, so to speak. You know, like it starts one step at a time. You know.
Exactly. It's 1 Corinthians 9 and 5. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible.
Mm-hmm. Because like if you look at, you know, the things that, you know, these so-called celebrities and these athletes and stuff like that, what they do, you know, they're doing it on a they win their the small tasks, you know, one thing at a time, you know, and they have these great accolades, you know, in a worldly sense, you see. So if we're doing the work of the Lord, you know, again, how much more so should we, you know, be taking these things seriously? How much more so should we be winning those small battles? You see, and also, you know, the small battles that we're allowed to do. It's not like we have to. We shouldn't think of it as, okay, I have to do this. It should be, all right, I'm allowed to do this. You see, because that's going to correspond with the mental. All right, it's going to have that feeling of, I guess the word is elation. Is it elation is a word, right?
Okay.
Right, yeah, elation. You know, because that's gonna give the feeling of elation. All right, and it's gonna allow, you know, us to have those positive thoughts. You know, again, corresponding with, you know, winning them small battles. You know, winning the day. You know, brick by brick, one thing at a time. You know.
Yeah, like you make the mention of, you know, preparing, planning, you know, to
Mm.
build a house, right? You make those plans, you follow those plans to a T, and then you have to maintain the maintenance on those plans, man. You have to
Mm.
maintain the consistency, right? Because there's a time period for all these things to take place. You know, just like the temple being built, there was a time frame for it to be built, and then the priest had to, you know, continue the maintenance on that, man. You know, so
I got, it's a lot.
okay, you go.
I got a word for you. If my phone will load. All right, here we go. It's a lot. Bro, could a brother just get Ephesians no, Matthew 6:33.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to start getting ready to go back in.
Kan Yahweh Basham Yahushua Bahasham Chakodash Bakatam.
Y'all bashim asha bashim gakarash bakatam shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
You said 23.
33.
So Matthew 6:33. But seek ye first the kingdom of the Most High and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
Right. So prioritize the Lord, you know, and the kingdom ultimately are, again, because we was talking about, you know, the incorruptible crown. You see, again, how much more so for the Heavenly Father. You know, like it said, seek the kingdom of heaven first, roughly paraphrase, you know. So prioritize the Lord first. All right, that's how we should set up our day, you know. Start with soon before, you know, it might look different for brothers, you see, but the first thing we should do, all right, again, is set our time aside for the Lord. You know, then, you know, do whatever bullshit, you know, we get into, you know, because the Lord's work come first, you know.
Right. So,
Hold on, I'm gonna read I'm gonna read it out of here. All right, this is the word for son, and it says it says bond. It says son bayath, which the ba goes into bayath. All right, the na, it's non, which is a seed or continuance. It says house continues because the son continues the house. This word for you, bro. It says the house continues. It says the tent was constructed of woven goat hair. Over time, the sun bleaches and weakens the goat hair, necessitating their continual replacement. Each year, the women make a new panel approximately 3 feet wide and the length of the tent. The old panel is removed, being recycled into a wall or floor, and the new strip is added to the tent. Since the tent is only replaced one small piece at a time, the tent essentially lasts forever, which you can replace that word for tent with house, bayat. And it says, I'm going to skip down. And it says, a male offspring, the son or later male descendant of the father, one who continues the family line. It says, relationship to root. There are many similarities between building a tent slash house out of goat hair panels and the building of a house out of sons. The idea of building a house with sons can be seen in Genesis 30:3. And it says, just as the tent panels are added to continue the tent, sons are born to the family to continue the family line. Just as the tent is continually being renewed with new panels, the family is continued being renewed with new sons. But the point that I wanted to get was, it says the old panel is removed, being recycled into the wall or floor, and the new strip is added to the tent. Since the tent is only replaced one small piece at a time, the tent essentially lasts forever.
so, and like we had opened up with that Psalm 24 and 27. You know, prepare my work without. Right. Those plans were already, you know, passed down and understood. Right. So the understanding on how to maintain the tent, maintain that house, right? Just as the understanding to maintain a household, right, is passed down through the sons, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
how the understanding to maintain the church, right, the temple, is passed down through the priests, right? All these things, right, are part of those plans that the Lord has set forth through His men, and we're seeing that manifest in today's time, man, right? So He's given us this understanding so that we can, continue to forward ourselves in the spirit, and in doing so, He's going to take care of everything else, man.
Mm-hmm. Kind of also to add to your point, pretty much you said to I believe you said to build the house, or to build yourself, or just to build a house in general, whatever application it is, it's always something small at a time, like just putting something new on at a time, using the necessities, nothing extra, nothing more, nothing less, just doing what we need to do, to be revamped and renewed in the spirit, and then also to build that house.
Exactly. Because those little things is what's continuing to add value, man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like if you're doing a house renovation, you're not just going to tear
Yep.
it down to the foundation and then
Mm-hmm.
start from the bottom. We already have a good foundation. We're just, changing out the appliances, changing
Mm-hmm.
out the windows,
Right.
putting, changing the paint, fixing up the little things that need to be taken care of, so that we can continue to add value, to ourselves through Yahweh Shem Shai.
Right, because the scriptures say that the elect, essentially is going to be turned into that gold. You see, and when you make that gold, could you get that Bonsrat, the second chapter, talking about the gold tried in the fire?
Mm-hmm.
But essentially that gold, you know, when you got a goldsmith, he don't stop, know what I'm saying, working on the gold until he can see his reflection in that gold. That means it's a good piece of gold, you see. So we can apply that parable, you see, to this truth. The Lord wants to see his reflection. He wants to see not his legit reflection, but the in a spiritual sense, seeing the impurities out of the elect, to where again he can see that reflection in that gold, you know.
So Sirach 2 and 5. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity.
Right. And ultimately, how will we know what to work on? All right. Essentially, the Lord allows his elect to know, all right, this is what you need to work on. And the different things that we got to work on, that will essentially be similar to for those panels. All right, replace it with this small thing. All right, don't put that here, put it over here because of this. Just making them small adjustments. Let me see. Can we also get Luke 14? You already got Luke 14, right?
No, I got Luke 19.
Kind of Luke 14 and 28, and then I'm gonna get Luke 12 and 43.
This is Luke chapter 14 and verse 28. It reads, For which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it?
Mm-hmm. So it says, "For which of you intending to build a tower sits not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it." Baba Kushal, could you get the commentary? But pretty much it has to be, a planning phase, which I believe this goes into, a war as well, and war, you know, like if you was to do some type of operation, they got something called like a I believe it's called a sand pit. They draw. All right, this is where the enemy is. All right, this is where we're at. All right, we got to flank this way. All right, we got 12 people. All right, they got three. All right, if we could take them this way. It's a planning phase. It ain't like you just go. What I'm saying, you run up or full speed ahead and just have a whole bunch of casualties. No, it's a planning phase. All right, we got this amount of personnel over here. All right, we got this amount of food for this many days. Okay, are we going to be on foot? We're going to be on horses. What are we doing? So it's a planning phase. Everything has to be planned. Because again, we're in it. This is spiritual warfare. So it has to be planned out. Can't like you be like you just winging it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And it's like, it's more than money. It goes into just any type of resources, man, whether it be, time, whether it be, energy, right? Do you have enough to accomplish, whatever it is you set forth to do?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a commentary for it in the David Guzik commentary. It reads, In the parable of the tower, Yahushua said, "Sit down and see if you can afford to follow me." In the parable of the king, Yahushua said, "Sit down and see if you can afford to refuse my demands." No, that was pretty much the point on the count the cost. Did you want me to keep going?
I think it was like a little bit more.
Okay. It says Yahushua perhaps alluded to the idea that the work of his kingdom was like building and battle. Each of these are usually more costly than one thinks before beginning.
That's why it's imperative, to count the cost.
That's it.
But this is Luke chapter 12 and verse 43. And it says, "Blessed is that servant whom his Lord will come." So like, I'm gonna start from verse 42, verse 41, verse 40. It says 12, Luke 12 and 40. "Be ye therefore ready also." Ready. When we went to that word for prepare thy word without, it said kawan, it said be ready, prepare. I believe it also said prepared, so like on that watchtower, it says be ye there. Could you get that, Baba Kushah? I believe it's in Habakkuk 2.
Okay.
But this is Luke 12 and 40. It says, "Be ye therefore ready also, for the Son of Man cometh at an hour when ye think not." That's why it's imperative that, we stay on that watch. It says, "Then Peter said unto him, Lord, speakest thou this parable unto us all, or even to all?" And the Lord said, "Who then is that faithful and wise steward, whom his Lord shall make ruler over his household, to give them their portion of meat in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find doing." So like, blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. You see, so pretty much the one like we had got was pretty much being active, staying moving. Can't be stagnant water. We got to stay moving. Work on this. All right, work on this. It's always something to work on.
Hey, forward in the Father's business, man. He left it in our hands. We have to continue to build upon that, man. We can't just leave it the same way it was when he left.
Because we got to flip it.
Exactly.
Can't put it in napkin.
Exactly. It's Habakkuk 2 and 1. "I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved."
Right. So standing upon the watch, watching out for the prophecies, you see, because the scriptures say that we would set up as overseers, you see. So like we have a job to let the flock know the impending dooms and dangers that are approaching. You see, and the scriptures also say, "I've set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night," roughly paraphrasing. So we should always be on that watch. We can't be like, all right, what I'm saying, we gonna step down from the watch. No, you gotta stay on that watch, where the word is constantly going out. You see, it's always work to be done. You see?
That's it.
So I'm gonna get one more and then whatever else you had, bro.
Okay.
But this is Bon Sirach, chapter 33. And we'll get verse 4. It says, "Prepare what to say, and so shalt thou be heard, and bind up instruction, and then make answer." You see, so prepare what to say. If you actually going to say something, or like if it shows you that it's important to have a planning phase. You see, but then also like in your day to day, because the scriptures say that your conversation goes into your conduct. So you can also apply this to preparing your conduct. And then it says, "And so shalt thou be heard," because you're planning, what you're saying and what you're doing. And it says, "Bind up instruction and then make answer," So ultimately, again, comparing this to that conduct, that spiritual conversation, then you're going to make your answer when you have prepared what to say, and pray to the Lord that essentially, he brought those plans, or he brings those plans, and it aligns with his will. You see, because that's important that it aligns, with the Lord's will. You see.
That's right.
Yeah. But that was pretty much all I had. If you had nothing else, bro. Khan again, La Marshana, which means to say again. All right, one day at a time. One thing at a time. Chad Dabar Ba'ait, which is one thing at a time. Chad Yawam Ba'ait is one day at a time. All right, brick by brick, labana by labana, brick by brick. All right, and then winning the small battles. All right, hey, I was able to get some rest. The Wallah Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. I was able to put my clothes on. I was able to pray to the Lord. I was able to plan. I was able to read today. Winning them small battles, making the small battles count. When you look at again, those athletes, if you look at like military, whatever type of background, those that have like dangerous jobs, they might lose a battle, you see, but they can't stay in that mindset of like, all right, I just lost that, and then just have a snowball effect. Like, nah, you move on to the next thing, or you might revisit it. When you have your mental faculties with you, but the mindset is to keep moving and making them small, small victories count. You see, because the victory is already, could we get that? The victory is already written. It's already written. So all we got to do is do the small things. I think it's might be
1 Corinthians.
Yeah.
This is 1 Corinthians 15 and 57. It reads, "But thanks be to the Most High, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Yahushua Mashiach."
Yeah, so the victory is already written, which the scriptures tell us to essentially put on as the elect. So we put on as the elect. Put on that righteousness as a garment. That long glorious robe. You see, and then do the things that the elect will be doing. Praising the name of the Lord Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Prioritizing the Lord. Building up our house. Being there for the brothers. Being there for the body. Doing the stuff that we need to do, and ultimately to be turned into that goal. You see, that's pretty much all I had, bro. Well, hey, I don't want to Zaza by Nayapa, Lord's will. That was a beautiful edification through the spirit. While I don't want to Zah, Atam Yashi Awam Tawab, a Lord's will. You all have a good day. While we can go ahead and close it out by saying, Call Layam La, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Chak Wadash. A double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and the rule well, and much respect to you, bros, out there pushing this truth with all righteousness and sincerity. Shalom, shalom. Wa hayawam tawab la atam. Shalom, shalom.